What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for another daily news video. Apologies for there not being out a video yesterday. That will never happen again. Also, this one is late, so apologies for that as well. But we have kind of breaking big news to talk about, which happened yesterday with the Bonucci situation, because it's big in one way, it's not that big in a different way, and I will explain why. But that's kind of the news that has been dominating the last yesterday evening and today, because it's all very relevant to what could happen moving forward in the mercato, especially in the next couple of days, and we will see that on preseason tour, how we're gonna resolve that issue basically. But it's very interesting what has happened yesterday. But before we get into it, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification, and let's go. So the big news is obviously Bonucci. It started actually at midday, or it started actually a couple of days ago, when there are rumors that the club doesn't want Bonucci anymore and they're gonna leave him out of the squad. But it was coming from very dodgy sources, you might say. Well, they weren't that dodgy, because Romeo Agressi came in and he said it's done. Giuntoli he communicated to Bonucci that you're not training with the group now, you're done, you're not coming on tour, you need to find a new club. It's that. It's completely done. You're not part of the future plans now. That happened, You still had a couple hours before Giovanni Albanese saying, oh, but his wages will be cut to 3.5 million euros, and the club is not planning really to say anything. And hold on below, he got proven, I completely butchered that, but he got proven wrong again. I will say this, it's shocking the way it has been done, you might say, because many consider Bonucci as a legend. I don't. I think that's blasphemy to say that. He's a great of the club because he contributed, and without his contribution was key to our success. He's not a legend, because legends are players like Del Piero, Buffon. Those are legends. Legends don't go to your rival, score a goal at the stadium, and celebrate. That's not what legends do. So that's blasphemy. He's a great, and I acknowledge everything he did for the club because it's key. I appreciate everything he did for the club because that was key. It was very important. He was a great player. So many years, and you can never take that away from him. That's done. That's in history. Like what Conte has done is in history, but you cannot wipe that out of our history. You might dislike him, same with Bonucci, but it's there. And I think that's where people were very upset, because this seems very disrespectful, and it might be, but this is not the beginning. This started back months ago when the club put him on hold and told them, you're not going to be part of this, find a solution basically. And apparently, according to rumors, they told him in April that, we want to move on, so you can have your last game at the stadium and whatever. And he didn't really want to go with it, and now the club made a decision. It's done, and find a solution. What I do like is, because the counter argument is that, oh, now the entire world knows we want to sell him because you let them train separately. The entire world knew we want these players out. Zakaria, McKennie, Arthur, Bonucci, they're all training separately. Everybody knows. Klopp's interesting, talking with agents. They know Juve don't want those players. So it's not going to change anything. I actually like this, because compared to last season, we had so many players coming on tour and training with the club, and I was like, you guys are not going to be here. It's pointless that you are leaving for tour, that you are playing with the players. It's pointless. Now, you can have players like not big time players, like players with a certain feel to it. Like Piaka going on tour it doesn't really matter. He's gone anyway. You know, those type of players. So players with different aura, with a different statue, with actually clubs in Europe looking at them, it in my opinion disruptive because you're prepping a season. For some reason, they always play in preseason. They get minutes, and I never understood the point because I'm looking at them. I'm like, you're not gonna be here. You're gone. We're trying to sell you. Like it's a very weird vibe. I think it's great. Again, you can say this is very disrespectful. It's very direct. But the club told him way in advance, and he didn't want to listen. The news, as you can read here, actually, is that he will be back on Monday, obviously, because he still had some days off for some reason. And he will not kind of accept it, and he want to try to convince Allegri. But that decision has been made, you know. I'm not going to really praise Giuntoli because, and this might sound ridiculous to some, but I think this decision is also made kind of by Allegri as well, and it's weird because he played them in key games and not Gatti. I get that, but we know, like, I'm not gonna praise Giuntoli for. Okay, we shouldn't praise him. Like I will say, like this should be normal. Telling players they need to leave. You know what? You're gonna train separately. We're gonna work on a move, but the team is just gonna focus on themselves because they're prepping for preseason. You guys do your own thing. I'm fine. Everybody knew. Like Giuntoli didn't came in and say, Mikani, Zakaria, Arthur, you're gone. They were gone anyway. Like no matter who the sporting director was, they were gonna be sold, or the idea is to sell them, move them on. So that's that. What I do like is that the new rule is you're gonna train separately. Done. You know, a lot of clubs do that. Chelsea do that. Real Madrid do that. Barcelona did that a couple of years ago. They probably do. Like clubs do that, you know, and that's in my opinion how it should work, because it kind of disrupt preseason prep. You know, getting minutes, play like being in training, but you're not gonna be there for the long run. Like it makes absolutely no sense in my opinion. But it opens up doors. It opens up possibilities because you're gonna lose Bonucci. That means a center back needs to come in. Who that's gonna be, I don't know. It could be the Winter staying. I will talk about the Winter in a video that will drop tomorrow because that's kind of a breaking news story. But it changed kind of the idea of the transfer market a little bit because now we definitely need a center back. You know, it could be the Winter, it could be a signing, who knows? But it changed the dynamics. Now, the point or the dark side of the story is that players like Rugani, De Sciglio, who's injured, I know that, Alexandro, they are not on that list. They are not training separately, and that's very worrying in my opinion. And especially Alexandro, that's very worrying because if the club told Alexandro you're going to train separately, you're gone. You need to find a solution. I would respect this decision so much more, and I will hold even more value to it than now, because they're telling me Alexandro's going to say Parisi signed for Fiorentina officially. He's going to stay and he's going to get significant amount of minutes, and that's unbelievable. You know, that's crazy. So when this story broke, I was like, okay, and then the names start dropping, and I was like, where's Alexandro? Where is Alexandro? And this story suggests that, you know, he's not going anywhere because Allegri trusts Alexandro still, and that's the flip side. That's the dark side of the story, and it's still very worrying. Going back to Bonucci, his time was up. His time was up 2 years ago, in my opinion. Stayed on too long, and that's the club's fault because they should have made that decision 2 years back. They didn't, and now it looks very, very ugly. Really ugly. It does, you know. It shouldn't be like what I think about Bonucci. Still, it should not be ending like this. He should be not a proper, like, he should be getting a good goodbye. You know, it's done. Get your applauded by the fans who still applaud you, by the way, and get that done. Now it feels like he's being pushed out of the back door. You know, you're out of the team. You're not training, and that will leave a very sour taste in amount of a lot of fans and him. But you can flip it and you can say what he did going to Milan because he was a bit angry with Allegri, and then crawling back to the club left also a sour taste. So it's kind of, for me, very difficult to be very sad about it, you know, because I know what happened back then, and what you did, what you came back, the things you said, kind of very strange, that situation. So I don't feel sorry for him, because the club told him in April that, we want to move on, and he was very stubborn in saying no, I don't want to leave. And you can say that, but now the club made their decision and said, you're going to train separately, find a club, you're not going to play, period. And they need to hold firm to that. Even if he stays, you're not going to let him play, because that will look very soft, a bit like we did with Ramsey, and then he came back and like, you cannot do that. If you say no, it's no. You need to write it out now. But that's the breaking news, and it could have, very, not big, maybe big, because things might be moving now in terms of, are we going to get a center back or not? Are we just going to bring in the winter? Who knows? Is the focus still going to be on a right winger and that midfield? Apparently, what with left back and right back? Because that's a very scary situation at this moment in time, because we're not being linked with them anymore. We're not in talks with them anymore. But this changes, kind of the dynamics of our transfer window a little bit. But let me know in the comments what you think about the situation. Do you think Juve handled it perfectly? Do you think both are at fault? Let me know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. I will be live after this one, so watch it or rewatch it. Also tomorrow, I will do a video on Pavard and the winter, because those are popping up, those names. So stay tuned for that as well. And yeah, thanks for watching. See ya.